caught my attention. I'm gonna share it with you.
The most dangerous group of any society is overeducated, underpaid people. They are the most dangerous. And
Dig into that for a minute. What do you mean by that?
Okay. I know some of y'all like, man, I'm educated, and what do you mean overeducated? Overeducated, guys. Yeah, I know it's gonna hit y'all. I know you don't like it, but sometimes you can be so smart that you're stupid. This is a fact.
Okay, like even in the Tsarist Russia, we had this, which was, you have people who went to school, got a discipline of some sort, and expected, had been told by their parents and by their teachers and by their guidance counselor, you get that master's in,
Classics.
well, classics would be useful, but in marketing or gender, or it could be a lot of different things, and you're entitled to a job which will allow you to afford to live in New York City or San Francisco. It didn't work. So what you get is this resentment. So you've had, if you look at rebellions throughout history, it's largely this class that sparks them. It's generally not the peasantry and the.
Wow. Huh. I've been taught, and I understood. I think I probably wasn't paying attention in that class. Who knows? That it was the peasants, that the poor people started the uprising. What do you mean? What do you mean?
Even the working class by itself that's doing it. You look at the people around Lenin. Most of those people were well educated. Lenin was from quasi, like, sort of the bottom part of the aristocracy. So and high up in the Russian administration. The French Revolution filled with underemployed lawyers. So this is a class. They're articulate, they're capable of organization, and they're resentful. They feel, in some cases, the resentment is okay, but they feel that the society doesn't recognize their value, and that's Mondami's base. People who've gone through the woke colleges, have all the luxury beliefs, very often are from upper middle class families, make not enough money to live decently in New York. And so these kids are going to have to make a choice. Do I want to have, make a living, buy a house, have a family, progress as an adult, or do I stay in New York City and San Francisco as essentially the ward of the state?
You would think that it would be African Americans. It wasn't African Americans. It wasn't African Americans. Majority of his voters consisted of middle class, 50 to 150,000 in range in neighborhoods. These were people that, like he said, they don't live in New York per se, but they may live there. Well, they live there because they had the right to vote. They live there, but they're not living in the best parts of New York. Okay, I mean, think of it. You go to school, you spend 125,000. You get this nice, fresh Ivy League Yale degree. You go to work in New York City. They're paying you 150,000. You're like, I made it, until you open your eyes and you're like, nah, you can't even live in the city of New York for 150,000. And now you go back to what they taught you in your liberal school, that there is an opportunity for us to change society and the structure society is. And I'm actually telling you what somebody messaged me, DM'd me. She said, hey, this is happening because we need to change the system. The system is broken. That's a different conversation. But now they're in New York. It's heck of expensive. Rent is high. Food is out of control. Don't let inflation come in. Inflation is going crazy. How do I know this? And you can chat GPT this yourself. I'm not making this up. Very low income neighborhoods, some of the poorest neighborhoods had the weakest turnout for him. Older voters, among black voters, 50 plus, weak turnout for him. You get it? Okay, y'all get it? So black people that were there didn't even show up in droves for this guy. Okay, the poor people didn't even show up in droves for this guy. Who wants rent being freezed? Who wants free transportation? Who wants free childcare? Who wants all of this stuff? It's coming from the middle class. Oh yeah, I know, but it's the middle class living there. Okay, because I know most people listen to this. You middle class, yeah, they're the middle class living there, living there. And they're always under the age of 35. Look at this, 35. And mostly Asian, South Asian. And you had a Jewish vote that turned out pretty strong. One poll led Jewish voters 17 points, they said. 17. So you're saying out of 100, probably 17 Jewish voters that would show up, and they voted him in. Now, I'm going to ask you this question. I'm going to show you how this is going to affect real estate right there. When you freeze rent, do you inspire landlords to stay? No. When you are lax on crime, because these guys, they went to these great schools. They're super educated. They're smart. They're working and living in New York, the mecca of capitalism, right? That's a pun. That is definitely a pun. That's a pun. They're living in New York, the mecca of capitalism. The mayor is Muslim. Yeah, okay, cool. I saw a video of this guy's running down the street. New York is Muslim now. I was just saying, bro, calm down with that stuff. But you think of it. They're living there. They can't afford to live there. Freeze the rent. Landlords, I'm good. We got to sell this place. Lax on crime. We're not talking about, they don't know that being lax on crime and then going to live in neighborhoods too, that they can live in their home. Do you think that the poor is going to act? People are going to come back. When you let criminals out of jail and they know there's no penalty, I think he was actually talking about violent offenses need to be addressed. Some are more violent than others. I swear you break into my house and you break it, you intruding right there. Okay, that's a violent offense. You kicked open my door. You probably was gonna do whatever you needed to do to me to get what you want. You're not gonna do that, period. So, violent offense. He feels that you can be very lax on it. Who does that affect? It's not the poor it's not the poor is gonna affect. Yeah, it's some. No, they go where the money is. They go where the people who are making 50 to 150,000 live. And when you have crime starting to come into your neighborhood and you can't push it back, it's going to lower your property value. I'm only telling you. You can look at it however you want. But this snapshot does show that he was strong amongst the 20s and the 30-year-old voters. Oh my gosh. Well, these young cats, they have no idea. They have no concept. They live in a world and they believe everything should be free. There's a level of entitlement. And I said it before. You can be so smart you're stupid and so entitled that you're freaking broke. That's true. So smart you're stupid and so freaking entitled you're broke. And you're broke behind putting other broke people in office. And what are they doing? They're making other broke laws. They're making other broke laws that only lead to more brokenness, not laws of prosperity. They're not. I wouldn't have a problem with Zoran if he was saying, listen, I want to show people how to create. Because that's the difference between being wealthy or comfortable or having some level of means. You created something because you saw some type of demand that was in the market, and you created something to meet that demand. And after you've created it and the demand's been met, the market ends up paying you for that. And that's the basics that I believe a lot of African Americans don't get, which is adding true value, not your perceived value, not your value based on your best fried chicken in the neighborhood. And a lot of socialists, communists, our younger generation, they don't get. Now, I'm not saying that's true for all African Americans. So, but at the end of the day, it is still a true thing when you open in a wing shack, and we got wing shacks on every freaking corner. What makes your wing better? Okay. I mean, would people drive all the way from Alpharetta to South Georgia to get your wings? Or to even to South Atlanta to get your wings? If they're not coming to get your wings, then you're not bringing any value to the market, and I'm just letting you know. We can get wings down the street, bro. We can get it right down the street. So, real talk. This is what happens. This is what happens when you let little children and you put them into a school, their parents tell them that education is the way to success, and they totally ignore God's principles that he put into place. They totally ignore it. God is a creator. He created man to create. He didn't create man to rely on the creations of other men to meet their needs. And that's literally when you raise the taxes. And I hear that you say, oh, well, they're doing good. They can make it. That's not the point. And I can agree with you. They're doing good. But that's not the point. The point is you sabotage the creation muscle in your spirit because you're reliant on the government to do those things for you that need to be done, that local politician or that politician that sold you something and you bought it. Yeah, you bought it.